Hello everyone. I've lived 70 long years, and now I've made the choice to distance myself from people. Why would I do that? Today, I'm here to share with you the raw, unfiltered truth. Stories that are at once biting, humorous, and deeply reflective. From the mistakes and disappointments of my younger days to the peace I've found in my later years, this is a journey you don't want to miss. Stick around until the end to uncover the invaluable lessons I've gathered, not just from life, but also from the Stoic philosophy that guided me through every challenge. If you find meaning in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Victory Stoic. Let's dive into my story. Number 1. Reflections on old age and life's priorities. You know, when you're young, you think you have all the time in the world. You waste it like spare change. Hours spent chasing approval, pointless arguments, or trying to impress people who probably forgot your name the next day. I was no different. I thought being everywhere for everyone made me important. What a fool I was. I remember my 40th birthday like it was yesterday. I threw a big party, invited everyone, friends, colleagues, even a few people I barely knew but wanted to impress. The house was packed, laughter echoed in every corner, and I spent the whole night running around making sure everyone was happy. By the end of the night, I was exhausted. As I sat alone in the kitchen, surrounded by empty glasses and plates, I realized something. Not one person had asked me if I was enjoying my own birthday. They took what they came for: food, drinks, entertainment, and left. It took me another 30 years to truly understand what that night taught me. Not everyone deserves your time. Time is a currency you can never earn back. And as Marcus Aurelius once said, you cannot control the time you've lost, but you can control how you spend the time you have left. At 70, this lesson feels as clear as daylight. Now, I don't waste time on shallow relationships or meaningless obligations. My calendar is as empty as my tolerance for nonsense. I spend my mornings listening to birds, not people who want to complain about the weather. My evenings are for books, not for parties filled with people who will forget me tomorrow. It's not bitterness, it's clarity. Old age doesn't just change your body, it rewires your brain. You stop chasing, stop explaining, and stop trying to be liked. It's not that I don't love people, I just love myself enough to know that my time is too precious to waste. If you want to borrow my time now, you'd better have a good reason. Otherwise, my answer is simple: no. Thank you. Number 2. Spotting the energy vampires. Energy vampires. No, I'm not talking about Dracula. He at least has the decency to look dramatic while sucking the life out of you. I'm talking about those people who drain your spirit without you even realizing it. They don't come with fangs or capes. Instead, they come with endless complaints, unsolicited drama, and an uncanny ability to turn every conversation into a therapy session. For themselves, of course. I remember one such vampire from my younger days, a colleague named Paul. Paul had a unique talent. He could suck the joy out of any room within minutes. Got a promotion? He'd remind you of the increased workload. Planning a vacation? He'd lecture you about travel delays and food poisoning. I once made the mistake of sitting next to him at lunch. By the time he was done recounting his latest life crisis, I felt like I'd aged 5 years. But here's the kicker. People like Paul don't just show up occasionally. They embed themselves into your life if you let them. At 70, I no longer entertain their theatrics. As Epictetus wisely said, avoid what disturbs your mind. Peace cannot be bought, but you can keep it by controlling your environment. So now I enforce a strict no vampire policy. The moment someone starts sucking the joy out of my day, I politely, but firmly, send them packing. Here's my advice. Don't let these people rent space in your head. They're not paying rent, and they're certainly not fixing the plumbing. Protect your peace like it's the last piece of chocolate in the pantry. Trust me, at my age, peace is worth more than any meaningless conversation about someone's third cousin's bad haircut. Number 3. Prioritizing peace over shallow relationships. Let me take you back to my younger years, when I thought I was a conqueror, not of lands, mind you, but of women. I wore my flings like badges of honor, each one proof of my charm and prowess. I was convinced that the more notches on my belt, the greater my worth as a man. Society cheered me on. Movies, friends, even my own ego told me I was living the dream. But dreams, as it turns out, can sometimes feel like nightmares when you wake up. You see, after a while, all those nights of passion started to blur together. I couldn't remember their names, let alone their faces. What stayed with me wasn't the thrill of conquest, but an overwhelming sense of emptiness. It was like eating cotton candy, sweet in the moment, but ultimately unsatisfying and leaving you a little sick. I thought these encounters were building me up, but instead they chipped away at me, piece by piece. Here's the thing they don't tell you in the movies. These relationships, or whatever you want to call them, don't elevate you. They don't carry you to a higher plane of happiness or fulfillment. On the contrary, they drag you into a swamp of chaos. Most of these women weren't looking for deep connection any more than I was. They weren't the kind of people who could walk beside me in life, lift me when I was down, or share in the quiet, meaningful moments that make existence worthwhile. They were like me, lost, searching for something in all the wrong places. And so, instead of building a life of joy and stability, I created a circus. A mess of crossed wires, unmet expectations, and emotional noise. What I thought was freedom was just another form of entrapment. I wasn't running toward happiness, I was running away from myself. It took years, decades really, for me to see the truth. True peace doesn't come from external conquests. It comes from within. It's found in quiet mornings with a good book, in the soft hum of solitude, in the absence of unnecessary drama. As Seneca said, solitude does not make you lonely. It allows you to understand yourself better. At 70, those words resonate like never before. Now, I prioritize my peace above all else. I've traded chaotic relationships for calm evenings. I no longer seek validation in fleeting encounters. Instead, I find fulfillment in moments of stillness, when it's just me, my thoughts, and the quiet assurance that I am enough. And let me tell you, that peace is more intoxicating than any thrill I chased in my youth. So to anyone still chasing those shallow victories, stop. They won't fill the void. Only by embracing the stillness can you truly start to heal and live authentically. Trust me, I've been there, and nothing compares to the freedom of a quiet, uncluttered heart. Number 4. Time is your most precious asset. If I could go back and talk to my younger self, the first thing I'd say is this: stop acting like you have an endless supply of time. Back then, I treated time like it was something you could refill, like a gas tank. I wasted entire days chasing people who didn't care, worrying about things that didn't matter, and filling my schedule with obligations I didn't even enjoy. It was like throwing gold coins into the ocean just to watch them sink. Here's a story for you. I once spent 3 months helping a so-called friend launch a business. I poured in my energy, my weekends, even skipped a family trip to help him meet a deadline. When the business took off, do you know what happened? He disappeared. No thank you, no acknowledgement, just radio silence. Those 3 months, gone. I'm not bitter about losing the friendship, but the time, that stings. I'll never get those hours back. Time, you see, is a cruel master. It's the only thing in life you can't bargain for more of. You can earn back lost money, mend broken relationships, even regain health to some extent. But time? Once it's gone forever. And yet, we squander it on pointless arguments, shallow commitments, and worrying about things that will never matter 5 years from now. Marcus Aurelius, one of the wisest Stoics, put it perfectly. Live each day as if it were your last, because one day it will be. That's not just philosophical fluff, it's a reality check. Every minute you waste is a minute stolen from your future self, a self who will look back and wonder, why didn't I use my time better? Now that I'm 70, I guard my time like a treasure. I no longer say yes to every invitation or feel the need to explain myself when I decline. I don't engage in pointless debates or let toxic people eat up my hours. Instead, I invest my time in things that truly matter. A meaningful conversation, a walk in nature, a moment of quiet reflection. Here's the paradox. The less you squander your time, the more abundant it feels. By focusing on what's truly important, you stretch each moment into something valuable. You start living instead of merely existing. So here's my advice. Treat your time like the rarest gemstone in the world. Don't waste it trying to make everyone happy or chasing approval. Live fully, intentionally, and with purpose. Because when you reach my age, you'll realize that time isn't just precious, it's everything. Number 5, the disappointments of relationships. Relationships. When you're young, they feel like the sun rising on a new day, bright, hopeful, full of possibility. But sometimes as you get older, you realize that some of those relationships were more like mirages in the desert. You chase them, thirsty for connection, only to find yourself left with nothing but sand slipping through your fingers. Let me tell you about a so-called friend I once had. Let's call him Tom. Tom and I shared years of camaraderie. We worked together, laughed together, and even cried over a few beers after life threw us curveballs. I thought, this is a brother for life. But then came the day when I needed him. Not for money, not for favors, just for support during a particularly tough time. And what did he do? Disappeared. No calls, no texts. It was as if I'd imagined the entire friendship. At first I was furious. Then came the sadness, the self-doubt. Was it my fault? Did I misjudge him? But over time, I came to see the truth, one that Epictetus had beautifully captured. What happens to you is not the problem. How you react to it is what matters. That disappointment, though painful, became a teacher. It taught me the importance of boundaries. I used to think relationships were about giving everything. Your time, energy, trust, without question. But that's not true. Relationships, I've learned, are about balance. When someone takes more than they give, when they cross the line from mutual support to outright selfishness, it's time to step back. Setting boundaries after being hurt isn't easy. It feels like building a wall in a place you once wanted to keep open and welcoming. But those walls aren't prisons, they're safeguards. They protect your peace, your sanity, and, most importantly, your heart. At 70, I no longer resent Tom or others like him. In fact, I'm grateful for them. They taught me who truly deserves a place in my life. And the answer? Far fewer people than I once believed. Disappointments are inevitable, but they're not failures. They're opportunities to refine your circle, to cherish the ones who truly care, and to let go of the ones who don't. So here's my message. Don't let betrayal harden your heart, but let it sharpen your instincts. Learn from it. Set boundaries. And most importantly, protect the peace that comes from knowing who belongs in your life and who does not. Number 6. Finding value in a smaller circle. When I was younger, I thought life was a numbers game. More friends, more parties, more people to call on when I needed something. My social circle was massive, like a carnival, and I wore my network like a badge of honor. But as time went on, I realized something. Most of those people didn't really care. They were like fireworks, bright and dazzling in the moment, but leaving behind nothing but smoke and silence. Let me tell you about the time I hosted a grand dinner party in my 30s. I invited everyone. Colleagues, acquaintances, even some people I barely knew. It was loud, extravagant, and chaotic. But amidst all the laughter and clinking glasses, I felt a strange emptiness. These weren't my people. They didn't know my struggles, my dreams, or what kept me up at night. When the night ended, so did the connection. For all their smiles and chatter, not one of them called the next day to say, "Thanks for having me." Fast forward to now, my social circle could fit around a small dinner table, and I wouldn't have it any other way. As Seneca wisely said, a good friend is worth more than 1,000 superficial acquaintances. And he was right. The people in my life today aren't just friends. They're anchors. They're the ones who sit with me in silence when words aren't enough. The ones who celebrate my wins and lift me during my losses. The ones who know me better than I sometimes know myself. Quality over quantity. It's a cliche, but like most cliches, it's rooted in truth. A smaller circle means deeper conversations, truer connections, and less noise. I no longer care about having a packed calendar or knowing everyone at the party. What I care about is spending time with those who truly matter. But here's the catch. Cultivating a smaller, meaningful circle takes effort. It means being vulnerable, letting people in, and being willing to invest your time and energy. It's not about keeping score, but about creating a space where mutual respect and care flourish. Now at 70, I look around and feel an immense gratitude for my little circle. They're not perfect, and neither am I. But together we've built something real, something that sustains me in ways 1,000 casual relationships never could. So my advice? Don't chase the crowd. Instead, focus on the few who make your life richer, deeper, and more fulfilling. In the end, it's not about how many people you know, it's about how well the right people know you. Number 7. Finding value in a smaller circle. When I was younger, I thought life was a numbers game. More friends, more parties, more people to call on when I needed something. My social circle was massive, like a carnival, and I wore my network like a badge of honor. But as time went on, I realized something. Most of those people didn't really care. They were like fireworks, bright and dazzling in the moment, but leaving behind nothing but smoke and silence. Let me tell you about the time I hosted a grand dinner party in my 30s. I invited everyone, colleagues, acquaintances, even some people I barely knew. It was loud, extravagant, and chaotic. But amidst all the laughter and clinking glasses, I felt a strange emptiness. These weren't my people. They didn't know my struggles, my dreams, or what kept me up at night. When the night ended, so did the connection. For all their smiles and chatter, not one of them called the next day to say, "Thanks for having me." Fast forward to now. My social circle could fit around a small dinner table, and I wouldn't have it any other way. As Seneca wisely said, a good friend is worth more than 1,000 superficial acquaintances. And he was right. The people in my life today aren't just friends, they're anchors. They're the ones who sit with me in silence when words aren't enough. The ones who celebrate my wins and lift me during my losses. The ones who know me better than I sometimes know myself. Quality over quantity. It's a cliche, but like most cliches, it's rooted in truth. A smaller circle means deeper conversations, truer connections, and less noise. I no longer care about having a packed calendar or knowing everyone at the party. What I care about is spending time with those who truly matter. But here's the catch. Cultivating a smaller, meaningful circle takes effort. It means being vulnerable, letting people in, and being willing to invest your time and energy. It's not about keeping score, but about creating a space where mutual respect and care flourish. Now, at 70, I look around and feel an immense gratitude for my little circle. They're not perfect, and neither am I. But together we've built something real, something that sustains me in ways 1,000 casual relationships never could. So my advice? Don't chase the crowd. Instead, focus on the few who make your life richer, deeper, and more fulfilling. In the end, it's not about how many people you know, it's about how well the right people know you. Number 8, embracing Stoic philosophy. Let me tell you a story, not about someone else, but about me. I've been married 3 times. The first time, I was too young and too foolish to understand what marriage even meant. We fought over everything, from toothpaste caps to where to spend holidays, and eventually we gave up. The second time, I thought I had learned from my mistakes. Turns out, I hadn't. That marriage ended in a storm of resentment and disappointment. Then came my third wife. By the time I met her, I was tired, not just of marriage, but of myself. Thankfully, she wasn't. She saw something in me worth loving, even when I didn't see it in myself. We had a good run, better than I ever thought I deserved. She was my anchor, my compass, and my greatest teacher. But life has a way of testing us when we least expect it. She passed away last year. Losing her was a pain I can't fully put into words. Even now, I sometimes wake up expecting to hear her laugh or feel her hand on mine, but the silence is a cruel reminder. For months I was drowning in grief. I was angry at the world, at fate, even at her for leaving me. I didn't know how to move forward. That's when I leaned on something that had quietly shaped my life for 2 decades. Stoicism. I discovered Stoicism when I was 50. Back then, I was still grappling with the fallout from my second divorce and the uncertainty of starting over yet again. I found Marcus Aurelius's Meditations in a secondhand bookstore, and his words hit me like a lightning bolt. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. It wasn't easy at first. I had spent years trying to control things I couldn't. Other people, outcomes, relationships. Stoicism taught me to focus on what I could control. My own thoughts, actions, and reactions. Over time, I stopped blaming the world and started taking responsibility for my own peace. When my wife passed away, I leaned on those teachings harder than ever. I couldn't control the fact that she was gone, but I could control how I honored her memory and lived the life we had built together. As Marcus said, the happiness of it depends upon the quality of your thoughts. I chose to think of the 20 beautiful years we shared, rather than the loss of her presence now. I chose gratitude over bitterness, love over anger. Now at 70, Stoicism remains my guide. It doesn't erase the pain, but it helps me carry it with dignity. It reminds me that happiness isn't about perfect circumstances. It's about accepting what is and finding peace within yourself. So to anyone listening, if life has knocked you down, don't look outward for rescue. Look inward. Focus on what you can control, let go of what you can't, and remember that true strength comes from within. The world will always test you, but Stoicism can help you pass the test. It saved me, and it might save you too. Number 9. The nature of old age and independence. There's something liberating about reaching a certain age, let's say 70, when you simply stop giving a damn about what people think of you. It doesn't happen all at once, but it's like shedding a heavy coat you didn't even realize you were wearing. The older you get, the less you care about applause, and the more you value silence. And let me tell you, silence is underrated. When I was younger, I chased approval like a dog chasing cars. I wanted my boss to think I was irreplaceable, my friends to see me as the life of the party, and strangers to believe I had it all together. I spent hours agonizing over whether my words or actions were good enough for people who probably weren't thinking about me in the first place. The irony, no matter how much praise or validation I got, it was never enough. It was like pouring water into a leaky bucket. But old age has a way of changing your priorities. Somewhere along the way, I realized that I don't need anyone's permission to feel good about myself. Epictetus said it best, when you stop living for others, you start living for yourself. It's not about selfishness, it's about freedom. Freedom from the endless cycle of seeking approval, from the exhausting need to explain yourself, and from the pressure to meet expectations that aren't even yours. Now at 70, I live on my terms. I dress for comfort, not for fashion. I speak my mind, even if it ruffles feathers. I spend my time on things that matter to me, not on things that make me look good to others. And you know what? The world didn't end. In fact, it feels more vibrant, more honest, and more peaceful than ever. But this independence isn't just about what I no longer do. It's also about what I've gained. I've gained the ability to enjoy my own company. I've gained the courage to set boundaries, to say no without guilt, and to walk away from situations that don't serve me. I've gained clarity about what truly matters, meaningful relationships, a sense of purpose, and the joy of simply being. Old age is often painted as a time of decline, but I see it differently. It's not about losing abilities, it's about gaining wisdom. It's not about fading away, it's about standing tall in your truth. Independence isn't just a luxury of age, it's the reward for finally understanding that you don't need the world's approval to live a full, satisfying life. So here's my message. Stop chasing applause and start chasing peace. When you let go of the need for external validation, you'll find something far better waiting for you, yourself. And trust me, that's the only approval you'll ever really need. Number 10. The joy of simplicity. There's a profound beauty in simplicity. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't demand attention, it quietly fills your soul. At 70, I've come to cherish simplicity as the secret ingredient to a life of peace, joy, and meaning. It's not about having less, it's about needing less. When I was younger, I thought happiness came from accumulation. I chased after possessions, achievements, and status, piling them up like trophies on a shelf. But the more I collected, the emptier I felt. Life became a constant juggling act, and every new thing I acquired seemed to add weight to my shoulders instead of lightening my load. The irony? None of it truly mattered. Now, I live differently. My life is stripped down to the essentials, and I've never been happier. My wardrobe fits into one small closet. My meals are simple but satisfying. My days are unhurried, filled with quiet moments that feel like little treasures. The sunlight streaming through my window in the morning, the sound of birds singing, the satisfaction of a good book or a meaningful conversation. These moments, these small joys, they're everything. As Seneca said, wealth is not in having many things, but in needing few. Simplicity doesn't mean deprivation, it means freedom. Freedom from clutter, from excess, from the endless chase for more. It's about focusing on what truly matters, connection, gratitude, and the beauty of the present moment. Take my mornings, for example. I wake up early, not to check emails or rush out the door, but to sit quietly with my cup of tea. I watch the world wake up, the sky changing colors, the stillness giving way to gentle movement. There's no noise, no distractions, just me and the moment. It's such a simple ritual, but it fills my heart in a way no possession ever could. Simplicity also brings clarity. When you let go of the unnecessary, you create space for what's meaningful. For me, that means cherishing the relationships that truly matter, pursuing hobbies that feed my soul, and spending my days in a way that aligns with my values. It's a slower, quieter life, but it's rich beyond measure. At 70, I feel more alive than ever, not because I have more, but because I need less. Simplicity has taught me that true joy isn't something you find, it's something you uncover when you strip away the noise and distractions. It's always been there, waiting for you in the stillness. So my message to you is this: don't be afraid to let go. Simplify, prioritize, find joy in the small, quiet moments, because in the end, it's not the things you have, but the life you live that will bring you peace. And that, my friends, is the true wealth of simplicity. Closing statement. And so I've shared with you the stories and lessons of my 70-year journey, from the pain of disappointment and heartbreak to the quiet joy of simplicity and peace. Through it all, what carried me forward was the philosophy of Stoicism. Focusing on what you can control, letting go of what you can't, and living authentically, true to yourself. If you found this video meaningful, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe to Victory Stoic. Together, we'll continue exploring the timeless lessons of this philosophy and how it can guide us in creating a life of resilience and purpose. And please, leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections. Thank you for taking the time to watch. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, may you find peace, clarity, and strength on your journey.